Lori here. Today we're making fried potatoes. Super simple recipe and inexpensive and can be done quick too. Today our recipe calls for russet potatoes. Those are the brown ones like this. But I had a whole bunch of red potatoes at home, so we're going to be using the red potatoes. Doesn't matter which kind you use, they'll still cook up even for you. All right, so normally we're gonna have to wash our potatoes before we start cutting. I already washed this one, so I'm gonna move ahead and show you how to cut the potatoes. Again, we're on our green cutting board, and we've got our towel underneath to help make sure that our cutting board is stable. We're gonna start by making our bridge, and we're going to cut our potato in half. Now it can be flat, which is a lot safer. Make our bridge, cut it in half again. And now we need our wildcat claw. We want to tuck our fingers back so we don't cut them off. We're going to have the knife resting against our knuckles, and as you can see, our fingers curve back, and if the knife is touching the knuckles, we can't cut ourselves. We want 1/4-inch slices because we want everything to cook evenly. And I'm looking over the top to see how big of a slice I'm cutting. I cut down and forward, and then I move my fingers back. If I move back a little bit, I'd have a tiny slice, and if I move back a whole bunch, I could just cut it in half. But today we want 1/4-inch slices. So I'm looking over the top and cutting down and forward. And I move my fingers back and cut down and forward. And then we can have our 1/4-inch slices. I'm gonna cut this one, I'm gonna finish cutting this one up, and then we have our bowl of our already cut potatoes, and we'll move on with the recipe. All right, we're back. I've got all the potatoes cut. I have them in our pan. I have my stove on medium high, maybe just a little bit hotter. And next thing we need to do is we need to put a 1/4 cup of water. So when we're measuring water, we always want to view at eye level to make sure we have the right amount. And we fill it up right until it gets to that line. A tiny bit more. Oh, no, I put in too much. That's what's nice. You can always keep checking yourself and make sure you have it right. All right, so then we're gonna put our water in, give it a little shake, and we'll put the lid on for 7 to 10 minutes, and we're gonna cook these until the potatoes are tender. How do I know if the potato's tender? I'm gonna take a fork and poke it in. If it goes in easily, then they're done cooking. If it feels like it's crunchy, then cook it, check it at 7 minutes, and if it's still crunchy, cook it for another 2 to 3 minutes. So while our potatoes are cooking, we're gonna get our onion, and I had some bell pepper left over from my salad, so I'm gonna put that in too. When we do onions, we wanna make sure we get off those outer layers that are dry or papery. That's not gonna taste good or have a good texture. And then where the root is, we're gonna cut that off. And on this end where it's kind of dry, we're gonna cut that off. And depending on how much you like onions, you can slice it up a little bit or a lot. I like onions, so I'm just gonna slice it in half. Again, my wildcat claw, my knife against my knuckles, and I'm gonna do some 1/4-inch slices so the onion isn't too thin. I don't want it to burn. And then I might do on this last piece, it's kind of tricky to get it to stay up, so I might do my bridge and hold it and just cut that in half again, or I even can lay it down on the board and cut it in half. With our bell pepper, again, our veggies got washed beforehand, so I can just cut them. I'm gonna cut it into 1/4-inch slices. Kind of hold the bell pepper a little bit tricky. It's hard to do a wildcat claw when you're doing a bell pepper. But at the end, I'm gonna curve my knuckles, keep my fingers tucked under, including my pinky and my thumb. We don't wanna have any accidents. And we're gonna cut this kind of into the same size, so maybe cutting this into 4ths. And now that's gonna really make my fried potatoes, oh, there's one was hiding, make them really delicious. So it's been 7 minutes. I'm now gonna take the top off. When we take the top off a pan like this, the steam can come out and it can burn you on your arm. So we wanna do the clamshell. We wanna open it up away from us, so all that steam comes out away from our body. I'm gonna set that over there. Notice I had a towel on that lid because it has a metal handle. I'm gonna take my fork, I'm gonna find a potato, and I'm gonna push it in, and it's nice and soft. So now I can add in my onions and peppers, and I can put in my oil. And if there was a little water in your pan, no big deal, don't worry about it. because that's going to steam off as we finish this last couple minutes of cooking. So now we're gonna cook it for another 2 to 3 minutes. I'm stirring it really well to get the oil to spread around and to get the onions and peppers down. And this will be soft and ready to eat fairly soon. But if you like it really, really crunchy, a trick for that is after you get the onions cooked, the last like 2 minutes, don't stir it, leave it sit on the bottom of the pan on our medium-high heat, and it'll brown the bottom of the potatoes, and then you can flip it and cook it for 2 more minutes without stirring, and it'll brown the potatoes again. So that'll give that yummy brown flavor. Now we're gonna season our potatoes. I've got some salt, but you could also use seasoning salt or garlic salt if you wanted some extra flavor. I have pepper. If you have a fresh pepper grinder, you could use that. And today I'm using a little bit of garlic powder. I'm just gonna add it to touch, right, to taste, just a little bit, not a ton. But if I was using garlic salt, I wouldn't use the garlic powder. You could also put in thyme, oregano, basil, whatever seasonings you like. If you like things a little spicy, you could put some red pepper flakes in there. I'm gonna stir it up again. And we're gonna cook this for another 5 to 10 minutes, depending on how long we want this to be. So we're gonna let this finish cooking and we'll check on it in a minute. Our potatoes have been cooking another 3 to 4 minutes. I'm gonna flip them over, and we should see some nice caramelization, some nice brown, crunchy, yummy flavor starting to get on our potatoes, like that right there. That's what we're looking for. So we're gonna cook this for another 3 minutes or maybe 4, and we should be ready to eat. Our potatoes are almost ready, and notice while I was waiting for potatoes to cook, I washed the dishes and cleaned up the kitchen. That's an important part of cooking. We want to clean as we go so we don't end up with a giant mess when we're all done. All right, so I'm gonna turn my heat down, and I'm gonna flip my potatoes, and you can just see how we have all the yummy golden brown. Notice I'm kind of stirring from the edge and flipping it into the middle so I don't make too big of a mess. All right, that's good. You could cook this a little longer if you really wanted them really brown. I'm happy with this. Get a little serving here. Turn off my stove, and I'll grab a fork, and then we're done. Fried potatoes. This is really simple. I hope you tried it at home.